President Trump says he'll sign an executive order today in the coming few hours, he says, an order he's calling a preemptive measure on immigration. Joining us now, Colorado Congressman Mike Coffman. He's a Republican. He's a member of the Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. Let's get to this sensitive issue. I know where you stand. The president in recent days has been very defiant, blaming the Democrats for the controversial family separations going on at the border with Mexico, saying there was nothing he could do about it. He couldn't sign an executive order. Only Congress could take action. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kirstjen Nielsen, said exactly the same thing. But now he has reversed himself. He is about to sign an executive order. Presumably, we'll wait to see the details that will stop this separation. Your reaction?
Well, I wish the president would have come to Congress before they implemented this particular policy. Zero tolerance in terms of prosecuting everybody crossing the border illegally, and then in accordance with current laws, separating the children from the parents. I'd be interested to see. He said that he couldn't do it on his own, and now he's going to apparently do it on his own in anticipation of Congress acting on this, what legal theory he comes up with. But the fact is that this is such an insensitive policy in the way it's carried out. Certainly we want to stop illegal immigration, but to separate these children from their parents, it's hard for us to comprehend how significant this is. I think people get it at an emotional level, but you have to go one step further and understand there is no social safety net in these countries where these families are coming from, and they are totally dependent upon each other, interdependent in terms of their day-to-day survival. And so it is it's just so gut-wrenching to see these pictures of these children being torn away from their parents. This is not what we're about as a nation.
Yeah, it's certainly heartbreaking. You were at that meeting with congressional Republicans last night.
Sure.
With the president. We got the impression, based on what folks were telling us, that the president said there's nothing that he could do. He wasn't going to make any major change until Congress passed comprehensive immigration reform. The separation of families would continue. But all of a sudden, just within the past hour, he seems to have changed his mind. What was your impression that you got directly from the president? You were at that meeting last night.
Well, the president certainly acknowledged that it was a bad policy in terms of how the American people were perceiving it. He said that he had no choice but to do it, and he wanted a legislative fix to it. And so I think he's now going to do some sort of executive action in anticipation of legislation passing. Whether we do it as a standalone bill or in part of a more comprehensive package, I think it just has to get done by the Congress. And the president needs to provide relief for these families as soon as possible.
I know you welcome his decision, but do you believe he blinked?
Oh, there's, I think in terms, absolutely blinked. I mean, the fact is he said he did not have the legal authority to do this, and now he does. So what legal authority is he using? Is he using prosecutorial discretion, in that he's simply not going to hold these parents accountable for crossing the border illegally, as he said he would under a zero-tolerance policy. So I think we're going to have to wait and see. But clearly it's a reversal. But I'm glad to see it. By whatever measure it happened, I'm just glad that let's just move on as a country. It's a very sad chapter, I think, in just our nation as one who cares about human rights.
Yeah, and you know, irrespective of his decision, if it stops kids from being separated from their mothers and fathers at the border, that's going to be welcome news to so many people here in the United States and around the world. And he also says this executive order he's about to sign, he hopes it will be backed up by specific legislation. You've said you're ready to work with, for example, Senator Dianne Feinstein's bill to end this practice of separating families at the border. Where does this stand in terms of standalone legislation in the House of Representatives or as part of comprehensive immigration reform?
Well, there's going to be a vote tomorrow on a bill that addresses border security. It addresses a path to citizenship, an earned path to citizenship for the young people in the DACA program. And it will also address this issue. But if it's not going to be taken up in the Senate, I hope that it is. I hope they do something about our young people in DACA, and I hope they do something about border security and a few other issues. But if not, we just have to get this done, whether it's in a standalone bill or it's part of a larger bill.
Congressman Coffman, thanks so much for joining us.